Welcome to the most electric podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this right here, this is Grant Mitchell. He's 5'11", and you can't teach that. Bada boom, man of the people in the room. Welcome to Ride the Line. Grant,
about 5'11".
Wait. Before you comment, are you riding?
I'm riding, Ted. I'm not riding with your measurements, though. First of all, we've worked together for 3-4 years. We've never met in person, so you don't actually know how tall I am. But this is a funny story. So I'm 6'1.5". I'm 6'1", because if you tell somebody you're 6 foot, then they assume you're 5'11". You see how that works? So I say I'm 6'1" because I'm 6'1.5". But before I went off to college, Tanner, formerly being in the NCAA, what do you have to do? You have to get a physical. So it's standard, it's customary. So I go off to the doctors, little 18-year-old Grant, going to get my physical. I think it's for the first time on my own, because when was the last time you needed a physical? It was for high school, and your parents had to drive you there, obviously. So going off to the doctor, not assuming there's going to be any problems or anything like that. And I show up, and they're going through the standard tests. You know, they get your height, your weight, and what's your pulse and all that stuff. The woman writes down that I'm 5'9.25". And instantly I'm thinking, okay, I don't understand how we messed up that bad, but whatever. It doesn't really affect me too bad. And she's taking my pulse. And I went to college to run track and cross country. So low heart rate, good cardiovascular system. Average pulse was like 48 to 52 beats per minute. She says my heart rate is 110. My average resting heart rate is 110, and then I'm 5'9.25". And I forget what else she did, but she said something else just ridiculous. I said, excuse, I don't mean to be rude, but do you work here? Like, I've seen YouTube videos of people stealing the doctor's lab coat and just trying to see how long they could go before someone noticed. Is that what's happening right now? Because there's no way you got a medical degree if you can't even look at a height chart and read what someone is.
Yeah, well, Grant, maybe she wasn't wrong. Maybe you just aren't as good of an athlete as you think you are. That's my story.
Put my athletic career aside. I'm not 5'9.25". Like, that's almost 4 inches wrong. I don't understand how she messed up that badly.
So when we were in New York for the Elite Eight with DraftKings, we were talking with some people on the street. There were a lot of guys on the street for Marquise Noel, like a lot of his friends from back in the day. We were talking to one of them, and we were talking about the difference between like how tall Marquise is versus his roster height. And we're like, yo, is he a roster 5'5"? Is he a roster 5'6"? We just kept going back and forth. So that's funny you say that. Yeah, you always got to be higher. Like I was 6'4" on the roster. I'm more like 6'3.5". So you got to bump it up and then you subtract an inch. That's what we see like the NFL combine when we see these guys actually like measure. They're always smaller than what their roster shows.
Yeah, and my favorite one was Allen Iverson. I think they listed him at 6'2" for a year. Like he was lucky to push 5'10". That was a good one.
Definitely. Well, this is Ride the Line, the most electric podcast in sports betting entertainment. We're riding this morning for an hour. You'll be riding with us for an hour. And then throughout the entire week, if you follow us on social, follow the page, smash the subscribe button, do it all, head to WSN.com. Every call to action involving WSN, do it. It's all linked in the description below.
Yes, and we've got some amazing content going on that site. And a little spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about betting picks, excuse me.
Yeah, Grant, you're a prick.
Sorry, Tanner's a bit of a prick, and it got stuck in my head. We're going to be talking about betting picks pretty early in this show. And so you can go over to WSN and also look at other betting picks that we may not have put out there ourselves, but we put out there in writing. Or you can go over there, get yourself some promo codes unlocked up to, I think the biggest offer right now is $1,250 worth of bonuses. So make sure you go on over to WSN to look at Tanner the Prick's betting picks. Sorry, Tanner, got those confused.
All right. Anyways, Grant's a prick. So we're going to get into NBA play-in picks right now and breaking down the tournament a little bit and follow my picks because Grant is a prick. We're going to spend a little time on Lakers T-Wolves and then Heat versus Hawks because this podcast will be out after the games take place. So we'll give you our early thoughts, but not going to spend more than a few minutes on those. And then we'll get into the games that matter, the ones that you will hear when the podcast comes out tomorrow night's Thunder and Pelicans and then Bulls versus Raptors. So Grant, we'll start with the Lakers and the Timberwolves because you have a crush on LeBron James. Lakers are not going to cover in this one, just to let you know. So
what is the line for this game? I didn't even look.
It's 5.5. 5.5. Like pretty much every game's 5.5. But I got a good stat for you. Good stat.
Okay. Well, I think the Lakers are absolutely going to cover, and I'll give you a couple of reasons. First,
Lakers. Wait. The Lakers are 1-6 in their past 7 against the spread against Timberwolves. Just to let you know.
Okay, but just to let you know, Jaden McDaniels is not playing, and in LeBron's 7 career games against Jaden McDaniels, I'm not saying Jaden McDaniels is an all-star or anything, but he's a good defensive cover for LeBron. In 7 games where LeBron has been covered by Jaden McDaniels, he's averaged 23 points. Way under his career average, way under the 30 points that he's averaging per game this season. Rudy Gobert, I've also been highly, highly critical of this trade. I think it's one of the worst in NBA history. It's proven to be even worse now that he is missing this game. But as much as I want to come down and say, it's not, I want to make fun of Rudy Gobert, basically. I want to say it's not really going to matter because this season, in the 70 games Rudy Gobert played, the team was -7 with him on the court and +4 with him off the court. So his impact wasn't really there. But the last two times that these teams, last time these two teams faced off, Anthony Davis had 17 rebounds. Gobert's a great rebounder. Anthony Davis is probably going to go over his rebounding total. And LeBron James, what does he like to do? He likes to drive the ball. You're not going to have the tallest and most intimidating interior force on the court there. Lakers are going to win this game very easily. It's also a revenge game for Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt. I think they get this one done. I think they're winning comfortably 11 to 12 points, something in that neighborhood.
I'll go against Grant because I don't like Grant. And this game doesn't matter talking about in the pod because it's going to be over by the time we get to tomorrow. Okay, so Heat versus Hawks. I'll go here. I like the Heat in this game. Winning on the road has been a problem for the Hawks the entire season. They have not won in Miami in their past 7 games. They're 1-5 straight up against the Hawks or against the Heat in their past 6 games. They just have not gotten the job done against Miami. They are going to struggle. I think Jimmy Butler steps up big tonight. He comes through. He's been doing that in the playoffs for years, and they get the job done, cover the 4.5 pretty easily.
Yep, I absolutely agree. Trae Young also, what he struggles with the Heat more than any other team in the NBA, averaged just over 15 points per game in a gentleman's sweep in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs last year, averaging, I want to say it's 23 against them in his regular season career, them being the Heat, obviously. It's not a good matchup for the Hawks. I got the Heat winning that one also fairly easily. I'll go with 8 points in that one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a cover before we get to foul shots. That's my take on this one. As much as I like the Hawks, they have a high boom rate. I still think the Heat's defense is going to be too much for them tonight. But we'll find out. Anyways, the pod will be out by the time these games are done. So we got to move in the games that matter. Oklahoma City versus New Orleans. Grant, take it away.
This is going to be a very fun game. First of all, it's do or die. It's the best of one, but it's not like the 7-8 best of one where you get to have redemption and you play the winner of the 9-10. This is actually win and you're one step closer to in, or lose and go home. And these two teams, they're young, they're exciting, they like to get up and down the court, they have a lot of hustle plays. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. Obviously, the winner of this game will play the loser of the Lakers Timberwolves. Tanner, I know you don't think the Lakers are going to cover, but I don't seriously think you're going to pick the Timberwolves to win. So we're expecting the winner of this game to play the Timberwolves. Now, the reason to pick the Pelicans, in my opinion, I know it's -5.5, and that spread is a lot. I would be looking maybe more so at the money line and combining that into a parlay. I think the Heat money line is pretty safe. I think the Lakers money line is pretty safe. So I know it's putting 3 outcomes together, but I think you can still get decent odds and decent likelihood for it. But why I like the Pelicans in this game is both teams are right around 500 coming out of the All-Star break, but the Pelicans are 9-3 in their last 12 games. During that stretch, they are far and away leading the league in 3-point shooting. They're shooting over 42% from beyond the arc. They're also 3rd in net rating during that stretch. And it's a small-ish sample size. 12 games isn't the biggest, but it's also not like it's just 2 or 3 games randomly put together. There's something to be said in any sport for playing well at the end of the season. The Pelicans were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference a month or so into the season. They completely fell apart when Zion went out. They looked awful going into the All-Star break. And then this last month or so, the last 3 weeks, they've really just figured it out. So they're going to have to take that against a Thunder team that is young and scores a ton of points. The Thunder have the best scorer in this matchup with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I like the component parts around him, or the supplementary parts, I should say. Think they would have a better chance if Chet Holmgren was back. But I think the Thunder just a hair away, probably by way of inexperience. CJ McCollum, I think his experience shines down the stretch. Pelicans get a narrow victory, and they get to play the Timberwolves for the right to get into the playoff bracket.
Grant, do you know how big Chet Holmgren's ankles are?
He's put on some weight. I know. Trust me. I was worried when they drafted him that early too, but he is putting on weight. He's still not big, but it's good to see because a lot of these players, they normally can't. Like Kevin Durant couldn't bench 185 at his rookie combine, or is it called whatever the workout for the NBA draft is. And Brandon Ingram, he reportedly, they had to force him, his nutritionist was forcing him to eat McDonald's because he refused to eat anything else. And that's why he was so skinny. So at least Chet is making the effort. And I hope he's able to stay healthy next year.
He's just got to eat cereal every night, a box of cereal. They'll put the weight on him pretty quickly. Anyways, Oklahoma City versus New Orleans. I don't think the Thunder have played good down the stretch. That's why I'm going to fade them here. So I do agree with you, Grant. Even though it's a big spread, I'm going to ride with New Orleans. OKC 2-8 against the spread in their 10 games to finish the season off. They have been hot against New Orleans, but at the same time, too, I love the way the Pelicans are playing right now. 8-3-1 against the spread in their past 12 games. They're 9-3 straight up in their past 12. I love Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. I think they're going to make some big plays down the stretch here. They got to neutralize SGA. That's going to be the big question in this game. He can take it over himself, and that could lead to at least a Thunder cover, in my opinion. But the safe play is going with the Pelicans. I love that 3-leg parlay. I know a lot of people don't like doing the 3-teamers, but here on Ride the Line, we're riding. We'll place a little 3-teamer. We'll get it done. You can't play. The problem is, like, these playing games are so hard because you can't play money lines, really. They're like -200 to -250. 5.5 points is a lot in a play-in game, playoff type atmosphere. So I do like the parlay approach. Even doubling up, each day, just going a 2-legger each day, trying to pick both your winners, you're going to get good value for that.
Yeah, absolutely. These aren't necessarily trap lines in and of themselves, but like you said, in the context, when you look at the value on the money line, -200 to -250, but then because it's a larger spread between teams that are relatively evenly matched, like you said, in a do or die scenario, it becomes a trap scenario. So that's why I'm going with the parlay approach here.
Yeah, the home court makes such a difference. Like if I look at, I know a lot of analysts at least are saying that the Hawks have the best chance to pull an upset in the first round, which is kind of crazy to me considering they've been so bad against Miami. But at the same time, too, if this game's in Atlanta, it's a different story. I might be leaning towards the Hawks. So home court makes such a big difference. People in Miami really don't care about sports until the playoffs. So we'll see that place rocking tonight.
Yep, 100%. And then in the Eastern Conference, we've got the Chicago Bulls, just a half point different in this line between the previous one. Chicago Bulls +5 versus the Toronto Raptors, who are -5. Now, the Chicago Bulls, I thought Patrick Beverley was maybe the worst player in the NBA when he was with the Los Angeles Lakers. But ever since he's gotten to the Bulls, I don't know if it's his impact. I don't know if Billy Donovan has made the coaching adjustments that were necessary. I don't know if the team's spirit has been boosted somehow. But this team has just come together. They're third in the net rating since the All-Star break. They closed their season out on a 14-9 stretch. And that's not dominant by any stretch. But if you look at that win percentage, that would be good to get you somewhere, maybe to say the 5th or the 6th seed if it applied to the entire season. And they're coming up against a Raptors team that has talent. We've seen it in the postseason. A lot of the players that were there on that championship run are still in place. But Fred VanVleet, he's your most explosive scorer, and he's shooting a career worst from the field, except for his rookie year, I want to say. The Raptors also aren't the same defensive team as they have been in years past, and that's sort of been their calling card. But they're allowing teams to score quite easily, even though they've got, again, some of those usual defensive stars that they had in place before. I'm thinking the Bulls are going to pull the cover at +5. This is my favorite spread pick of them all. And I also think the Bulls have a really good chance to win this game outright.
Yeah, I agree with that. I look at the Bulls and I absolutely love what they've done with Patrick Beverley. He's my guy. And I hope he gets a chance to knock the Lakers out of the postseason. Whether I know it can't happen.
It would have to be in the NBA Finals.
And the Celtics aren't getting there. But I hope he gets a chance to do it because I'm a big Patrick Beverley guy. You look at the Bulls in their past 10 games against Toronto, they've absolutely owned them. History tends to repeat itself. 7-3 against the spread and 7-3 straight up. Toronto just doesn't scare me that much in this spot. I like the Bulls with the points here. I might sprinkle the money line as well. They're playing really good basketball to finish the season off, and that's what matters at this time. 4-2 against spread in their past 6 games. Also look for the over there. I could see a lot of points being scored in this one, even though it's a playoff game. The tension might be high early, but at 217.5, it opened at, it's now down to 214.5. As that line continues to dip, you might want to look towards the over there.
Yep, I think that's a pretty sharp play. You always want to look at how the lines are moving, and a lot of the times you want to go against the direction they're moving in. So I think that could be a good play, depending on what it ends up on.
Yeah, I mean, if it holds at 214.5, I might stay away. But if it keeps going down 213.5, I might want to go the other way because that's not a lot of points, especially in a play-in game where the Bulls will be competitive. I think this one's going to be tight down the stretch. Foul shots, we're going to see that. You look like UConn in the national championship game. That game got over because of foul shots at the end. Like, teams are willing to do more now than they are in a regular season, which adds on a few extra points at the end of games. So,
yep, I absolutely agree with that.
We got the play-in cover. Now I guess we can pick who's going to be in that win to go in the final seed in the playoff. So who would you, if you had, let's see here, if you had Timberwolves and they played against, so we're both going to go with the Pelicans, right?
Yep. In the West, I've got the Lakers as the 7 seeds. That would match them up with the Memphis Grizzlies. And I've got the Pelicans as the 8 seed, which would set them up with the Denver Nuggets. And then in the Eastern Conference, I will take the Heat as the 7, which sets them up with the Boston Celtics. And let's see. Am I going to take
the Hawks will win that game, Grant?
The Hawks versus the Bulls.
I'm taking the Hawks.
I'm going to go with the Bulls.
Hawks will be at home, right? Yeah, Hawks will be at home.
I'm going to say the Bulls get the 8 seed and they play the Bucks in the first round. So you're taking Hawks, I'm taking Bulls.
Depending on what the spread is, I might look to Bulls spread, but I think the Hawks do get the job done there. But again, anything can happen, so these matchups could be totally different. Next time we come on the show, we might be totally wrong. But you know what? We're admitting it because we're riding.
And we're also admitting that it doesn't matter what happens because the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics are going to win those series.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Tatum, just, massive unit.
Tanner, we've gotten some good interaction with the clips on what we've found out about Jason Tatum in the past. Make sure you guys go check that out if you don't know what we're talking about.
We won't repeat it today because the editing, I got to bleep out everything I say. But Jason Tatum, just he's a big guy.
He has things that aren't family friendly. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, and he makes shots because of it.
Yeah, exactly. It powers him on the basketball court. That was the NBA play-in tournament, but now we're going to look at the NBA finals because this is what the NBA season is all about. It's all about winning a championship. You got 82 regular season games done. Some of the teams are waiting in the wing for the play-in. Others are fighting for a spot to get in, but everybody wants to win that Larry O'Brien trophy. And Tanner, I have prepared a graphic to show you how I feel teams are shaping up in their race to win the NBA Finals. But for you and for the audience out there, I want to explain what this is. Now, this is a race. Have you ever been at the arcade and you've seen the horses running across the screen and you've got to roll the balls into the holes? And if you make it in the smallest one, then your horse takes the biggest leaps. That's pretty much what I've gone. That was the inspiration behind this list. So the teams all the way at the end are the teams that I believe are leading the race. The teams at the front, obviously, they're just getting out of the starting blocks. And teams that are not on the graphic, I believe, have no chance to win the NBA Finals. So I'm going to start from the bottom here. First of all, you understand everything, right?
Yeah, I do. It's not hard to understand, but I totally disagree with the beginning of it. So,
All right. Well, let me reveal it because not all of our viewers are video viewers. Some of them are audio listeners. So let me start off here. The team that is maybe they're coming out of this stance in the starting block, the Golden State Warriors. This is a team that is 2-20 on the road against teams that are 500 or better. Andrew Wiggins is supposed to be coming back for the playoffs. He is going to have the toughest cover, De'Aaron Fox, on the team with the best offensive rating in the history of basketball. After a few months off, not playing a single game, you're tossing him into that type of atmosphere. Also, they're going to be on the road for 4 out of 7 games in that series. Of course, I'm talking about against the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings also registered the highest average fan stadium arena decibel levels. So they have the best home court advantage in the league. It's just an awful matchup for the Warriors. The only thing you can say about them is they have a lopsided, more than we've ever seen, a gap in experience. And if that's the precipice or the crux of your argument, then I can't really refute that. But I think that the Kings, who are the team that is in second on this list, or second from the bottom of the teams that made it in, they are just a couple of steps ahead of the Warriors because I don't think either one of these teams have really great chances to win the title. But I like the Kings to win that first round series. And so I'm going to put them in second, just ahead of the Warriors. Right above them, and let's say no, we're gonna get through it.
No, let me give one take. Let me give one. It's too long. It's too long. You talk. I can't listen to you. You just spew this nonsense for 5 minutes. Grant,
yeah,
the Golden State Warriors. As much as I love the price of the Kings in that opening series, the Golden State Warriors are going to win that series, and they're going to win it with ease. Just to let you know,
how many games?
Experience matters. How many games? They'll win in 6 games.
How is 6 games with ease?
Because I play it conservative. I'll say 5. Yeah, you want me to say 5 games? I can say 5.
Yeah, I want you to say 5.
Six is a good win. It's 4-2, Grant. Like 5 games is 4-1. 6 games 4-2. They might take the night off a little bit. And you know what? You know what? The King Stadium is so loud, of the arena, because they've never played meaningful basketball, and that's going to make the difference down the stretch. Golden State, like, that's just nonsense. But go ahead.
Light the beam, Tanner. Light the beam. Those are the teams at the bottom. We've still got a long way to go. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it, actually, just for the audio listeners, and say there are 10 teams that are involved in this race for the NBA Finals, which means all the others, I think, have a 0% chance to win the Finals. A couple of steps ahead of the Warriors and the Kings are the Denver Nuggets. They are third from the bottom of these 10 teams, even though they are the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Why is that? Mike Malone has been begging and pleading for his team to show some grit, some toughness, and to play defense for months. They closed out the season terribly. Nikola Jokic wasn't playing for a lot of those games. When he does play, he is one of the worst defenders in basketball. I saw a stat that said no player in the NBA has given up more points on layups than Jokic. And maybe you can say he plays a lot of minutes and he's close to the rim, so that has something to do with it. But still, look at the other big men who are in that MVP conversation. Embiid, Giannis. What are they? Maybe the 2 best defenders in basketball. So Jokic has got to be better. This team has got to be better. I've got them pretty close to the bottom, but a couple of steps ahead of the Kings and the Warriors. A team that is a hair past the Nuggets is the Los Angeles Clippers. And I think the Clippers are a better team by more than what's represented in this race, but they have a first-round matchup with the Phoenix Suns. And I think there's a very, very, very low chance they win that series. And if you don't win your first-round series, you're not going to win the NBA Finals. The final team in the bottom half of this race, the team that's in the groups that's in the back, the Philadelphia 76ers, they are about a third of the way into the race. And I was very high on this team throughout the regular season. They started to show some regression, but then they had a couple of important wins. They got one over the Celtics, even though they almost choked it in historic fashion. James Harden is starting to not be at his best, but you're getting more production from Tyrese Maxey, and Embiid is as explosive as ever. I thought maybe going into the playoffs, I was going to be higher on them, because here's a fun fact. Take out the first, I think it's 10 games of the season. The Celtics, the Bucks, and the 76ers all have the same record. And the 76ers have a better net rating than the Bucks, I want to say. So it's actually pretty close. There's just a lot of stigma working against the Sixers, but that stigma exists for a reason. Embiid has never made the conference finals. Harden chokes all the time in the playoffs, so they're going to have to prove it. That's the bottom half of the race. Moving into the top half.
Do you want me to comment?
Go ahead. We'll break it up.
So I would say the Nuggets are too one-sided with Jokic. They've never been successful in the postseason with Jokic. No reason to think they're going to be successful now with Jokic. So good take there. Good take. You made up for your stupidity putting the Kings ahead of the Golden State Warriors, which is mind-blowing. The Clippers, what's the status on the injuries there?
Paul George will not play in the first round.
Okay, so that does hurt them a lot. Paul George and Kawhi working together is definitely stronger than having them separate. So I would keep them there. I love that. Sixers doesn't matter. Eastern Conference, like just doesn't matter. Like the Eastern Conference outside of the Bucks and the Celtics doesn't matter.
It might be the case, to be completely honest. Let's go into the top half of the race, Tanner. This team, I believe, is halfway done with the race. The Memphis Grizzlies. Now, there are only 2 other Western Conference teams above them, but the Grizzlies have a 2 seed, so you can interpret that and what I'm expecting from them how you will. What I worry about with this Grizzlies team, and I'll just go ahead and say it, the team right above them is the Los Angeles Lakers, who, if they beat the Timberwolves in the play-in, that's going to be their first-round matchup. And I have the Lakers. I said the Grizzlies were about halfway done with the race. I've got the Lakers 2/3 of the way done, maybe even a step beyond that. Looking at the matchup, Jaren Jackson Jr. might win Defensive Player of the Year. With the votes that leaked, it was him and Evan Mobley that looked like the top guys. But he commits a ton of fouls, about 4.5 per game in his playoff career. Fouls out of games all the time in the regular season. That was one of the big concerns with him coming out of Michigan State, was that he's such a great and effective defender, but he fouls all the time. Guess what? He never kicked that habit. He's still only playing about 28 minutes per game, large in part because of that. Steven Adams, not going to be in this series, might not be in the entire playoffs, even if the Grizzlies are to make it to the finals with his knee injury. Brandon Clark, Achilles injury. He's going to be out. So you've got Jaren Jackson, who's very prone to committing fouls, great defender, but again, commits a lot of fouls. His backup is Xavier Tillman, And the Los Angeles Lakers, what are they better at than any team in the league? Drawing fouls. You're going to have so much pressure on the lane with Anthony Davis, with LeBron James, with Rui Hachimura getting downhill and hitting some mid-range. Dennis Schroeder, even though he's diminutive, he loves to drive inside and lean into the big's body. There's just going to be a lot of attacks going at the rim. It's going to be pretty much entirely on Ja Morant's shoulders to exploit the Lakers' lack of perimeter defense. I don't think it's a good matchup for the Grizzlies, which is why I have those teams the way I do. The team that I have atop my power rankings for the Western Conference, and they are about a third of the way into the final third of the race. This is the Phoenix Suns. They're a couple steps ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers. They're 8-0 with Kevin Durant in the lineup. They just look pretty incredible. Devin Booker is a second option, averaging over 30 points. If your second option is giving you more than 30 a game, it's going to be really hard for you to lose. This is a team that, while it's not the most overall experienced, every one of its star or core stars have been to or won the NBA Finals. That's going to be important. Monty Williams was outcoached in the NBA Finals, but he was the coach of the year, and he has that experience under his belt. We're going to see what he's able to do. But the two top teams, and both of them are dipping into the finish line. There are a couple of steps of the Suns, the Lakers, the Grizzlies, everyone else. It's the Boston Celtics and it's the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, which one do I have in first place? I have them positioned at exactly the same spot in the race, but I have the Boston Celtics on the top line. They have performed better against the top rivals in the Eastern Conference, and I think that they are more well-rounded than the Bucks. The Bucks have always had depth, but if you compare their depth versus the Celtics' depth, I would prefer the Celtics players and the way they've been playing lately. The one thing that I will say is really, really working against the Celtics, and this could come back to bite them, is they're probably going to have to play the Heat in the first round of the playoffs. That could be a tough series for them. And then you're also probably going to have to play the 76ers before you get to play the Bucks. And even if the Celtics are going to beat the Sixers and the Heat and you're not worried about that, if both those series go 6 or 7 games, that's a lot of wear and tear and emotional energy that you've expended. Meanwhile, the Bucks are probably going to coast to the conference finals and you're going to get a healthy and fresh Giannis and crew. That would be really scary. So if we get to that point and that's happened, the Celtics have played 2 7-game series and the Bucks have had a sweep and then 1 in 5, maybe I would pick the Bucks. But just right now, if they were to go out there and play a 7-game series starting tomorrow, I would take the Boston Celtics by the thinnest of margins. That's the list, Tanner. That's the NBA Finals race. What do you think overall?
So I'll start with the Western Conference. Memphis, they do have problems in the West. Ja was wrong about that. So they are not going to do anything. I see the Lakers and the Suns being those top 2 teams, so I like how you did that. Suns should be ahead of the Lakers, in my opinion. They're the better team. They have more star power. With that being said, I think Los Angeles is getting hot at the right time. They have LeBron James. They have Anthony Davis. They have guys who can make plays all around them. LeBron's defensive level is going to be taken up a notch in the postseason, so I do like that there. Suns in 4, though. Don't forget that. Suns in 4. That was. Remember those days? Suns in 4.
That was an amazing time.
Yeah, Suns in 4. In the Eastern Conference, it's the C's. It's always the C's. It's always going to be the C's. There's no doubt about it. Boston is going back to the NBA Finals because what'd they do, Grant? What'd they do? They walked into Milwaukee and said, "Hey, Bucks, we can whoop your ass in Game 7. We want to come to Milwaukee. Who can? We don't want to be in Boston. We want to come to Milwaukee and embarrass you on the road." So we'll see that in Eastern Conference Finals. I'm so excited for the Eastern Conference playoffs. The West is wide open still, but I have more alliance to the Celtics, obviously, than any team in the West. I know you're a Lakers guy. But yeah, it should be good. I like what you did there. The biggest mistake, I wouldn't say the only mistake, but the biggest mistake, I probably would have put the Nuggets a little ahead of the Clippers just because of the Paul George injury. But the biggest mistake is that Warriors and Kings, that's just nonsense out of you. It's nonsense.
2-20 on the road against teams 500 better, going to play in the most hostile road environment in the league in 4 out of 7 games in the series.
So let me look at I want to look at the series price for that just so I can I wouldn't bet the Warriors in a series price. There's no value, but I'm trying to find
the ticket price while you look that up is pretty remarkable. I don't know if you've seen what it costs, but I think it was like $30 or $40 for a ticket to one of the games. Like I hope I read that wrong, and that's not the case because I would be flying to Sacramento.
Yeah, that's so cheap. I guess that just shows Sacramento, they got better things to do out there than go see. You know what they're doing? How close is Sacramento to Golden State?
I think it's an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, you got everyone's going to see the Warriors.
Well, I mean, it could go both ways then. I'm sure there are going to be a ton of Warriors fans there.
It'll
And
be
even
all
though the
Warriors.
Kings do have such a great home court environment this year, I wouldn't be surprised if there are more Warriors fans in attendance for the playoffs.
All right. So the Sacramento Kings are plus 215 to win the series.
I think that's great value, to be
No, it
completely
is.
honest.
I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying I probably wouldn't bet it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. One thing that I was criticized about, because I put this out on Twitter, it was last week, and I've updated this graphic since that time, but I was criticized by some Cleveland Cavaliers fans for not having them on there. I personally believe that there is a 0% chance that the Cavaliers beat the Knicks, and then they would have to beat the Bucks, and then they would have to beat the Celtics or the Sixers. Like, I think there's a 0% chance of that happening. Do I think the Cavaliers are a better team than the Warriors and the Kings? I do. I think they're a better team than the Nuggets for sure. But because of their road to the finals, I just don't see how it's possible. Do you agree with me on that?
I agree. There shouldn't be any Eastern Conference teams on this list besides Boston and Milwaukee. It's just the truth.
And Philly.
Yeah, I guess.
They have a chance. They have a better than
everyone has a chance. Like I can step on the court and have a chance to score, but am I gonna? Probably not. The Boston Celtics own the 76ers.
They do. Yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason why that win that the Sixers got was so troubling for me is you were right there saying, forget the curse. We've gotten past the mental block with the Celtics. I know you still won, but you were so close to throwing that game. I feel like it took away the emotional importance of it.
I didn't even watch that. Did we even have guys on the floor? Wasn't freaking Peyton Pritchard playing point guard that game?
No. I think Jaylen Brown wasn't playing.
Yeah, Jason Tatum didn't even play in that game, did he?
Was it not? Was it Tatum?
Or Tatum was out.
Brown didn't play. Actually.
No, I think Brown played. I remember seeing the starting lineup on Twitter. I think Brown played, but Tatum didn't even play.
Long story short, the Celtics are going to beat the Sixers.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead and move on, Tanner, because we need to move into your wheelhouse and something that I've been paying pretty close attention to because I'm an avid hater of things you like. And so the Tampa Bay Rays beat the Boston Red Sox 1-0. They move on to 10-0 on the year. This ends a 3-game winning streak for the Red Sox. Tanner, what are your initial reactions to this? Because we were talking about how the Sox were scoring with ease and all they needed to do was get some stops. And now you give up one run and you still can't get a win. Like, what's going through your head as a Sox guy?
Well, I'll save the Sox commentary after I talk about the Rays. We got to tip our cap to the Rays. This has not been done since 1987 when the Milwaukee Brewers did it. So got to give them a shout out there. And Boston played them pretty tough last night. They couldn't score, but their big bopper, Adam Duvall, is no longer in the lineup. And I think his wrist might still not be connected to his hand, honestly, the way how bad that injury looks. So we'll see when he comes back, but he probably will never play for the Boston Red Sox again. That's just my thought. When I look at last night, it wasn't a pretty game. They didn't have many opportunities. The Rays bullpen is that good. It was a bullpen game for them yesterday, and they absolutely shoved. You're not going to beat Tampa Bay if you can't hit. Like, that's what it comes down to. The Rays have been masters at not paying players, developing players, keeping teams low scoring, and having great bullpen arms and winning games. Like, I don't think they start 10-0 if they play the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays to start the year. I mean, they played the Washington Nationals, the Oakland Athletics, and the Detroit Tigers, right?
Yep.
Like, they played 3 dog water teams. Like, the Red Sox swept the Tigers, so I would hope the Rays could sweep the Tigers. Still impressive. Boston will win a game in this series. I don't think they advance to 12-0 by the end of it. I think Boston wins 1, but we'll see. Yeah,
we will see. One thing that Boston's going to have working against them is that Drew Rasmussen, Shane McClanahan, Jeffrey Springs, some of the guys for the Rays, they have combined ERAs of 0.47. 2 of them haven't given up an earned run this entire year. That's pretty awesome. Randy Arozarena has been great, but Wander Franco, he's been the wonder kid, Tanner. We've been talking about him since he stepped foot onto American soil and started showing out in the minor leagues, then got his way up to the major leagues. But this year looks a little different. You know why? He's almost at a career best for home runs in a season, and it's only 4, but we're seeing that power element that he was lacking in his game. It's finally showing up now. And if he can hit the ball as consistently as he always has with this newfound power, again, he's only 22 years old. So he's going to get stronger as he gets his man body. He's in the weight room more. This guy is going to be terrifying. He's going to be a perennial MVP candidate for 10, 15 years.
He was hitting, he hit a ball at Fenway in 2021, the playoffs. Like, he hit it out of the stadium. It was crazy to see. So Franco is amazing. He was plus 700 too to hit a home run the other day when he already had 3 on the season. Like that line's going to start dipping down a lot. So if he can become a power hitter, they're going to be dangerous. Randy Arozarena is tremendous. They develop players. That's the biggest thing. They get players while they're young. They develop them. They don't pay them. They let them go into free agency eventually, but then they got a whole new crop of great talent coming in. So the Rays are going to be good for a while. They're going to be pesky. And as much as this win streak is impressive, it also is creating just a gap in the postseason. Like, these games matter. We're going to look back on this Rays winning streak. They're beating the teams they should have beat. Because if these series are scattered throughout the year and they take 2 or 3, it's still not equivalent to what they're doing now. They've won 10 straight games. So if teams don't keep catching up with them early on, they're going to have trouble in the division. I think the Rays opened at 3-1 at the beginning of the season to win the AL East. They're now down to like plus 160, which is pretty amazing. The Yankees are like plus 150. So these 10 games has really caused a big shift in the betting markets.
Tampa Bay Rays, the 3rd lowest payroll in Major League Baseball. That's just organizational excellence, top to bottom. Another team and another player in the AL East, Matt Chapman, hitting 4.
What about Adam Duvall? What about Adam Duvall?
We talked about Adam Duvall.
We got to talk about the Reds. Hey, Bobby Dalbec, back up. He's coming back up to the big time. Playoff Bobby.
You don't like Bobby Dalbec.
I love Bobby. I'm a big Bobby guy.
You trash him.
I like the underdog story. And Bobby got sent down to AAA. He got sent down, and now he's back up. He's probably going to start tonight. He's going to have a big night. So shout out Bobby. As much as Adam Duvall injury hurts the Boston Red Sox, I'm happy Bobby's back up if he's going to get some playing time. With that being said, though, it just shows how badly this team is assembled, that a guy that we weren't supposed to count on is the one we were counting on, and now he's hurt, so we don't have anyone to count on. And Kike Hernandez can't play shortstop to save his life. He's an embarrassment at shortstop, like a legitimate embarrassment.
Yeah, there's going to be so much pressure on Rafi Devers and Alex Verdugo in the box. So your guy Masataka Yoshida hasn't been the greatest. Some of those guys that we were talking about, how everybody on the Red Sox was hitting the ball well to start the season. Yeah, now a lot of them have started to fall off. And if the Sox, it's good that their pitching has stepped up, but you kind of you've got to put it together at some point. You've got to be able to hit the ball while your pitchers are dealing. You can't have it one way or the other. And that's been the unfortunate case for them so far. Can we talk about Matt Chapman now? Because he's been better than everyone on the Sox except for Adam Duvall. And Adam Duvall is not going to be there for a while.
Pivetta pitched well last night too. But yeah, we can talk about Chapman. Chapman's been crushing.
Yeah, he's hitting 475, only 2 home runs, but 14 RBIs. That's tied for the second most in baseball. The Blue Jays are 6-4. They had a wobbly start, but they've won 5 out of their last 6. They also have the best combined batting average as a team in Major League Baseball. They're hitting 288. And honestly, that shouldn't be a surprise when you look at the guys that they've got on their roster. But I don't think we expected Matt Chapman to be the guy leading the race this early on.
No, I mean, Matt Chapman's been sensational. Very fun to watch, hitting 475, 2 homers, 14 RBIs. The OBP is well over 500. Just what he's been doing is phenomenal. Actually, I posted a picture on the WSN account yesterday too, and his mom liked it, which was pretty cool. I think her name's Lisa Chapman.
That is awesome. Was it of Matt Chapman, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it was just like a trend, like Matt Chapman's hitting whatever, and his 40 plate appearances is 475. So I posted that, and then his mom liked it. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, guys, all the more reason to follow WSN on social media, because Tanner works out with Orange Theory moms and he connects with Matt Chapman's mom on Twitter. So you don't want to miss out on that.
Yeah.
But Chapman hitting the ball really well. I mean, nobody expected him to be hitting it that well, but the league batting average is up 16 points compared to where it was a year ago. And the average game time is also down 31 minutes. Now, obviously, the game time is going to be attributed to the new rules, but do you think the batting average coming up also has something to do with that? Or is it just because players, they're coming off the off season, they've rejuvenated, they've got some more energy in their body? Like, where do you stand on that?
Yeah, it's a combination of everything. You got to look at the pitch clock being one thing, at throwing pitchers timing off. But the biggest thing for the average being up is definitely the shift, not having guys, float to one side of the infield really helps, because there's a lot of guys now in baseball that just can't go the other way. So especially for lefties, that average is going up, game time's going down, the product's much better. So yeah, I would say the shift's the biggest reason, but also the pitch clock definitely, I think it's affected pitchers a lot because they got to be so quick. Even just watching games, like remember watching Red Sox games last year, like the advertisements, like coming in and out of commercial breaks, like the ads were just so much longer. They don't even do ads anymore coming out. It's hard to because it's such a quick game. Like yesterday, the Red Sox and Rays started at 6:40. It was done by like 8:30, 8:40, 8:40. It was a 2-hour game. It was crazy.
It's definitely easier to take in as a sports fan, especially someone like or people like us because we work in the industry. So we can't just sit down and watch a game for 4 hours leisurely. You know, we've got to have eyes on multiple screens, multiple games, and all that. So to keep the action coming fast and furiously, and also I think Major League Baseball does a great job with this schedule. I hate how the NBA has 2 primetime games. They start, if you're on the East Coast, they might start at 7:30 or 8, and then the second game's at 10 or 10:30. With baseball, you're getting games pretty much from 1 o'clock all the way into the evening, and that spaces out. It makes it a lot easier to digest. But with the accelerated game clock, I think it's also just turned into a better television product.
Yeah, 100%. It's like playing MLB The Show on quick counts instead of just playing the full game. I mean, like an MLB The Show game takes like an hour regular, and quick counts like 20 minutes. So yeah, it makes it better. Okay, Grant, you're going to give me some World Series picks right now.
Well, I'm just going to give you a bet. This is something now, this is coming from courtesy of Mitchell's Sportsbook, which just hint to all the audience out there doesn't actually exist. This is just the product of my brain. I'm going to tell you this, Tanner. You're going to pick a World Series winner, not a team, but I'm going to give you 2 options. You can tell me the World Series winners coming from the AL East or the National League West. That's one option. The AL East or the NL West. Or you can take the field, so the other 4 divisions. I'll give you plus 105 to take AL East / NL West and minus 125 for the field. Where do you check in on that?
So when you look at the AL East right now, the Yankees will not win the World Series just because they can't do it. The Blue Jays have really been off to a bad start. The Rays don't have the payroll to do it. The Red Sox aren't winning the World Series, and the Orioles aren't winning the World Series. So AL East, I don't really love that. When I look at the NL West, though, you have the Dodgers and the Padres. You got 2 quality teams that can do it. Padres have not been able to get there and do it, though. Dodgers have got there. They've really struggled, except their Mickey Mouse season. Like, they can't finish the job. Outside of that, I have the AL West with the Astros. So that's part of the field.
Who aren't off to a good start.
Who aren't off to a good start, but they'll be fine. I mean, they have Yordan Alvarez, who mashes baseballs to the moon. So I have them. I have the NL East. I will take the field here for sure. For sure. Not even
I think the NL East. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I think the NL East is definitely the division in the field you're looking to is where problems could come from.
Well, AL West, I mean, I like the AL West. The Astros are going to come out the AL West if anyone comes out of there. It's not going to be the Mariners, I don't think yet. It's not going to be, I mean, you never know. Once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen, but it's probably not going to be the Mariners. It's not going to be the Rangers yet. It's probably going to be the Astros. But having the AL West, I think the quality of the AL West is actually playoff wise, I think it's better than the AL East because I don't trust the Yankees. I don't trust the Blue Jays. I really don't trust the Rays as far as beating high payroll teams in the postseason. I mean, they haven't been able to do it. So I believe they can do it. The NL West is legitimate, but the Dodgers and Padres have so many issues down the stretch. And I love the Padres to win the National League. But the fact of the matter is I have the NL East with the Mets, the Braves, the Phillies. I have the AL West. The Central suck, but you still have the Cardinals and the Central that can do something. Milwaukee looks good to start the year. And Corbin Burns has even pitched well. So that's a good question, but I'll take the field.
I think the Brewers are a team to look to as well because they've rejuvenated that roster. It's younger. They've got more energy in there. If they continue to improve as the season goes on, I wouldn't pick them to win the World Series, but I think they might be able to cause an upset in the playoffs.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Grant. Great question there. I love that. That got me excited. That was a good baseball question.
Tanner. And now you've got questions for me from what I understand.
Yes, I do. So last week, our game was such a hit. It was such a hit that we are going to continue to play the game, different format. So I'm going to ask Grant colleges, and he's going to have to give me as many players that he can name from that college that currently play in the NBA. March Madness just wrapped up. We got NBA playoffs. We're trying to tie it all together. We're doing a great job here on Ride the Line because we're riding. So this is the game, Grant. Are you ready?
Yeah, and I just have to get one to pass, but the goal is to name as many as possible, right?
Yeah, and we'll start with the big schools, and we'll work our way down to the hardest schools. And I'll mix it up a little bit, but I'll make it easy for you early. We'll start.
All right, here we go. Let's go.
We'll start with Duke.
Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett. Easy.
Jason Tatum, actually, that's the guy.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot you wanted me to name as many as possible. Okay, next one.
Well, you can just name one. That's fine. for the sake of the game. I mean, we're moving through the show quick. Florida,
Al Horford,
Yep.
Celtics, just for you.
There you go, right there.
Dorian Finney-Smith as well. Got some Trey Mann, some other guys.
USC.
DeMar DeRozan. Gosh, who else? Who else went to USC? Why am I blanking? So Kevin Porter Jr., some other guys. But yeah.
Isaiah Mobley.
Evan Mobley.
Vucevic. Yeah. Okay. Connecticut.
Well, I would say Kemba Walker, but he's he's not currently on a roster, I don't think, is he?
No.
He's not. Andre Drummond. How's that?
Andre Drummond. Did you see the story about Andre Drummond being a walk-on? He was like, I'll pay mile away. I'm going to the league.
You know what that reminded me of? Do you ever see those memes of like, this is where LinkedIn is at? And it's like, somebody offered me $10,000 a day to quit my job. I said, no, I'll pay you $10,000 because that keeps me hungry. Like, that's what that just reminded me of. Like, did that actually happen? Like,
yeah,
I feel like you might be exaggerating.
I feel like it did, but like, did he pay his own way? He probably paid his own way through like boosters paying his own way.
Yeah,
it's like, here's your tuition. Yeah, I don't think he paid it out of his own pocket.
No, there's no way.
Never know. Okay, Villanova.
Ryan Arcidiacono. How about that one? He's in the league, I believe.
No, not on this list.
Oh, he's not? He used to be on the Bulls. He's not in there anymore.
Not
gosh.
On this list, no. There's easier ones on here.
Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry is the first one. You got Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges.
Josh Hart.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start getting some tough ones now. Tougher. Georgetown.
Oh, Otto Porter Jr.
Yep, number one. Colorado.
McKinley Wright.
Yep. Who else?
What's his name? Alec Burks.
Yep. You're getting all the top ones. Pittsburgh.
Why am I struggling with Pittsburgh? I know.
There's a big name guy from Pittsburgh.
I know there is, and I'm. Don't give me any hints or anything. Hold on, I'm thinking. Pittsburgh. Okay. Well, I know Justin Champagnie. Is he on the list?
No, there's only two guys on the list.
Justin and Julian Champagnie.
Oh wait, yeah, Justin Champagnie is on the list. Yep. Yeah, he's not the one I was thinking of, though.
No, he's not the big one, though. Do you know what position this guy plays?
Center.
A Pittsburgh center.
In the playoffs right now.
Oh, no. Why don't I know this? East or West?
West.
He's in the playoffs, and he went to Pittsburgh. Okay, so it's not DeAndre Ayton. It's not Zubats. It's not Anthony Davis. It's not Jaren Jackson. It's not Jokic. Who else? It's not Draymond. It's not Sabonis.
You're missing one team.
In the Western Conference, right? And they're in the playoffs. They're not in the play-in.
No, they're in the playoffs.
So they're a top 6 seed in the West.
Yeah.
Okay, Nuggets, Grizzlies. It's neither of them. It's not the Kings. It's not. Wait, it's unless are they a backup?
Kinda, but a backup, a big time backup.
A big time backup. Oh, this is throwing me through a loop. I mean, I already passed. Let's just put it out there, but I really want to figure this out now. A big time backup. I don't know. I give up.
Steven Adams.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, should have got that one, Grant.
Yeah.
Be better. St. Mary's.
He's injured. It wasn't even. It just wasn't even in my mind.
Yeah, but still, big name guy, Grant.
Yeah. I mean, I passed. I got Champagnie.
St. Mary's.
Oh, Lord.
There's one decent guy here. There's one guy who's dog water.
I want to figure this out, but
Eastern Conference in the playoffs.
Okay, who do we have from the Eastern Conference in the playoffs?
He's a point guard.
Eastern Conference in the playoffs.
Stop breathing into the mic. You're gonna scare some people.
Okay. You know what? I don't know who that is, but I did just think of somebody. It's Jock Landale.
No, not even close.
Jock Landale, he went to St. Mary's.
Not on this list, Grant. Not on this list. I
Well, hold on.
I have Patty Mills.
Wait. Jock Landale College. I'm looking this up right now. He went to St. Mary's.
It's not on this list, Grant. Is he on a roster?
Yeah, he's on the Suns.
Not. Well, I said the East, Grant. So.
Well, yeah, I said I didn't have him, but I had somebody. That counts.
I'm on Spot Track. I'm on Spot Track. Spot Track's list right now. So shout out.
Okay,
shout
well,
out
Jock, that counts. Jock Landale went to St. Mary's and he's in the NBA.
All right.
I should have gotten Patty Mills though.
Couple more. Syracuse.
Okay, Carmelo Anthony obviously not in the league. Buddy Boeheim I think is in the league, but is he in the league or is he on a two-way?
He might be. Yeah, I think he's a two-way because he doesn't have a contract listed on here.
All right, well we'll go with Jeremy Grant.
All right, Jeremy Grant. Yep, he's on there. Good job. All right, last one. New Mexico State.
Oh,
this is one you should get.
Oh, is this Kawhi?
No,
he's San Diego State.
Yeah.
Okay, New Mexico State. I know this. Playoff team, I'm assuming?
Yep, play-in.
Play-in team.
Wait. Yes.
New Mexico State play-in team. Is he and he's a starter?
Yeah.
Okay. So
he's big time prop guy.
Big time prop guy. That's Tatum, the PRA king, right?
No. This guy's a PRA king too.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, New Mexico State. So it's not the Lakers. It's not going to be the Timberwolves. The Pelicans. It's not the Pelicans. The Thunder. Lou Dort went to Arizona State, not New Mexico State. They're going to be in the East, right?
They're in the East, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's Miami. It's not Miami because their starting lineup doesn't go there or isn't from there. They're playing the Hawks. Trae Young went to Oklahoma. Bogey, I don't know where he went to school, but it wasn't there. Hunter, Collins, those guys. Collins went to Wake Forest, so it's not Capella. No. So he's got to be from the Raptors or the Bulls, right?
Raptors.
Okay. Well, I didn't need you to tell me, but that was my lean. So Van Vliet went to Wichita State. Anunoby went to Indiana. Pirtle went to Utah. He's a PR. Wait, Siakam. What am I doing? It's Siakam.
Yep.
Okay, so that took way too long. I'm sorry, but
good work. We got to move on though. Time's ticking, Grant.
We do have to move on. That was fun. I enjoy that. I think you might have outperformed me a little bit, but I got there.
I did, but I mean that's expected though. Let's be real. Like that's expected. All right, Grant. Did you hear? Let's get it. Minute of did you hear? We'll wrap up with a little NFL.
All right, our favorite segment. Tanner, did you hear? And I'm preface this with I know you did because you broke a video down on it. A DraftKings bettor turned a $200 free bet into $88,000 of winnings. Why don't you tell us about what that looked like?
Yeah, so it had an NBA play, it had the Thunder money line, it had 4 NHL plays, it was 9 legs total, 2 alternate spreads from the NFL. So it started back in January, and then it finished with the Desert Open, it had Desert Open, Rory to win that, and then it had John Rahm to win the Masters. So 200 to 88,000 off that free bet.
Is the Desert Open the one where you can like yell and not act like a normal golf fan?
It could be. No, that's the Waste Management. This was like, yeah, but that's
I'm not the biggest golf fan.
I'm not a super big golf guy. I got into it this weekend though with John Rahm. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, I did watch that final day. The Golden State Warriors, Tanner, did you hear, posted an NBA record for the first quarter with 55 points in the regular season finale against the Portland Trailblazers. They needed to win that game because if they lost and the Lakers won, the Warriors would have fallen into the play-in and they would have had to face the Grizzlies, who they have a rivalry brewing with. But they said to hell with that. We're going to drop 55 in the first quarter.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. So like your little graphic that you showed before with them below the Kings is just super wrong. And yeah, Simple.
Yeah. By the way, Trailblazers, again, another team under 500. Let's see them beat a team over 500 on the road. Tyus Jones, for the 5th straight year, leads the NBA in assist to turnover ratio. Pretty under the radar stat. But when we were going through our March Madness picks, we were talking about how assist to turnover ratio is such an important metric to look at. And it's pretty awesome that one player has led the league in it, and he's a pretty unheralded backup.
Yeah. I mean, he had a lot more time this year with our guy John Morant looking from the outside in. So
yeah, great player, great player. Another great player, and this one hits close to home, Tanner. Jaylen Brown cut his hand picking up a broken piece of glass. Now, Tanner, I know you used to live in Boston. Do they not sell brooms at the store or anything like that?
No, listen, it's just the Boston mentality. It's like, I'm not going to use something that's going to make my life easier. I want to make it hard. I want to make it difficult. And this is just great preparation for the playoffs when things get hard. Because even though the Celtics are the balls and the best team in the world, things will get hard. And Jaylen Brown knows that he has to pick up glass because he's training for life. It's not training for basketball. It's training for life.
Iron sharpens iron. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. Yeah. Jaylen Brown is a dog. He's a dog.
He's got that playoff mentality on and off the court. I love to hear that.
He just, Jaylen Brown sticks his hand into just broken glass because he feels like it. He's a dog.
And then the final one, Tanner, did you hear the Chattanooga Lookouts beat the Rocket City Trash Pandas? If I played for the Rocket City Trash Pandas, I would request a trade instantly because I'm not putting on a uniform that says Trash Pandas. But they beat them 7-5 despite failing to record a single hit. The Trash Pandas threw a no-hitter and they lost 7-5. They really put the trash in Trash Pandas. How do you explain this?
So they must have walked and made a ton of errors. They must have walked a lot of batters and made a ton of errors because I didn't even know this was possible.
There were a couple of hit by pitches. There were some wild throws. There were some errors, but it would be one thing if you threw a no-hitter and lost 1-0, but to lose 7-5 on a no-hitter, that's unacceptable. Like, again, Trash Pandas, they really put the trash in Trash Pandas. That's the easiest way to put it.
Grant, that's a great stat right there. I might have to do a video on that later today for WSN. That's pretty cool stuff by you. Great job with these. Grant makes sense. Yeah.
That's the did you hear, Tanner? And this isn't part of the did you hear. But Tanner, did you hear that Odell Beckham signed with the Baltimore Ravens, 1 year, $15 million, up to $18 million, not guaranteed, but total. Guys, we've only got a couple minutes left, so this is going to be the final topic of the show. I just want to get your opinions on this, Tanner. I'll start with mine real quick. I think that Odell, I'm happy that he's back in the league. I think he was on a Hall of Fame trajectory, and then he got hard done by the trade and all the problems he had, then all the injuries, the 2 ACL tears. I'm glad he's getting his money. I'm glad he's getting his opportunity to shine again. But at the same time, I don't know if I underestimated the market or the Ravens overestimated the market value for Odell. But 1 year, $15 million guaranteed just seems like way too much for a guy that has been injured in each of the last 3 seasons. Again, 2 ACL tears. His last full healthy season was in 2019. And you're in an offense that prioritizes running the ball. It just seems like they paid too much to me.
I totally agree, but I can see it from the other side in the sense of, okay, how do we get Lamar to stay? Even though it's like, this is pretty embarrassing from the Ravens. It's like when you got that ex and you're just trying to hold on to her and you gotta let her go. You gotta just forget about her. Because like Lamar's a baby. Like the fact of the matter is go play football. That's my take. But anyways, he doesn't want to win. Odell is going to get Lamar to stay there. It's going to help. Odell is going to help Lamar stay there. And on top of all that, you also want to make sure you get Odell there. Like if 15 million is going to bring Odell and it's also going to bring Lamar back to the team, it's worth paying, in my opinion, even though he hasn't stayed healthy. It's the name too. Like it's not a guy that doesn't have a name. It's Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, he's still living off his performances with the New York Giants. So
I think that's a pretty good point about, I hadn't really considered that. Even though it's a 1 year deal, it's really more of like a 5-6 year deal if it means Lamar's coming back. It's you're getting that deal, the long term for Lamar. So I think it does help them in their pursuit of Lamar.
I can't stand Lamar.
I know you can't, but we're gonna respect him as a top 10 quarterback.
You got a chance to win a playoff game, and you say, "Hey, you know what? I'm not feeling good." You think Tom Brady went out? You think Tom Brady ever wasn't feeling? Tom Brady literally had a broken freaking hand and went out and played football.
This is a different.
He wanted to win. He took pay cuts because he wanted to win. I'm not asking you to take a pay cut, Lamar. I'm just saying, why do you need all this damn guaranteed money? Why don't you go out and earn it? Why don't you take 50%?
He did earn it, and the Ravens messed up because they could have paid him 2 years before his contract was up. That's why these rookie contracts, they sign their deals quick. They got Joe Burrow's deal. They're getting it done. Josh Allen's deal got done. Jalen Hurts is getting his deal done.
Nobody's
the Ravens
getting guaranteed money,
not giving Lamar a deal
Nobody's
already.
getting that much guarantee. I'm not paying Lamar that much guaranteed money for his style of play. No quarterback is getting that money except freaking massage parlor Deshaun. Okay, so the fact of the matter is, like, that just shouldn't be like Deshaun Watson. Like, that's a whole case in itself. That's a whole case in itself. But the stupidity of them to give him that guaranteed money that Lamar now thinks he should get that guaranteed money when nobody else has gotten that much guaranteed money is preposterous to me. He's trying to set the standard for quarterbacks, and he's not gonna, and nobody wants him now because of it, except the Ravens, who just got to let him go.
Lamar's style of play, this is the last thing I'll say here. You can say you don't like it, but all of his injuries have occurred in the pocket. And that last year, this most recent year, we all knew that he didn't want to get injured because he was playing for the contract. So every time he escaped the pocket, he actually did a remarkable job of going down without contact. Again, he got hurt in the pocket. So I think that proved that he can hold up in the long term with his style of play. It's just kind of weird that he got hurt in the pocket, and maybe it speaks to his pocket presence. Maybe it speaks to the lack of offensive line protection. I don't really know. It's just a weird situation going on in Baltimore top to bottom. Because
I have one more thing.
Go ahead.
After you go. Finish.
I was just going to say, Lamar demanded a trade. The Ravens were fine with it. And then they sign Odell to get Lamar to come back, but they overpaid for Odell, which would make you think they want to pay Lamar, but now they've spent some of the money that they would have to use to pay Lamar. It's just, it doesn't make sense what's going on over there right now.
I will say this. If Lamar was worth what he thinks he's worth, truly worth it in the market, free market, open marketplace, don't you think somebody would have signed him? Don't you think the Buccaneers would have went out and got him instead of Baker Mayfield? If he was truly worth all the guaranteed money he thinks he's worth, he would have a home right now.
That's the smoking gun. It's so strange. It's just weird. Because you can be the biggest Lamar hater in the entire world, and you can't put him lower than the 10th best quarterback in the NFL. And isn't his record, his regular season record, isn't it something absurd, like 60 wins and less than 20 losses? Like it was a unanimous MVP. Like and he's in his prime. He's in the middle of his 20s. You just don't see guys like this come on the market. And he's on the market, and teams still aren't offering. Now, I will counter with this. I will say he's not a true free agent. You know, you would have to pay the Ravens 2 first-round picks to go get Lamar. So does that have something to do with it? Are teams waiting to have the draft, and then based on what happens, are they going to say, okay, now we can go back in for Lamar? I think that is a possibility, and it's something you're going to have to monitor. But it is still weird that teams aren't at least kicking the tires right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to give him – in my opinion, if you're going to give him $250 million guaranteed or whatever he wants, you're willing to go give up 2 draft picks because you're getting Lamar. Lamar's a great quarterback. I'm not saying he's not. I'd probably, as a Tampa Bay Buccaneers guy, I'd probably rather have him than Baker Mayfield. With that being said, though, if he was truly worth what he thinks he's worth, he would have a home right now. Somebody would go grab him. But there's a lot of issues around him. 1, he doesn't want to play injured. 2, he's caused a lot of fuss with the Baltimore Ravens. 3, he wants so much guaranteed money, and no quarterback has gotten that besides massage parlor. So, you know, that's my take. Anyways, I can't wait to talk NFL. It'll be fun on here.
It will be fun. And guys, when NFL season approaches, you know where to tune in to Ride the Line by WSN. That is going to do it for episode number 6 of the show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Like we were talking about earlier, go check out the website. We've got game and prop picks for these NBA play-in and playoff games. We've got all sorts of baseball content. Tanner just posted something recently. Make sure you guys follow us on social media. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on what we've got coming next. And Tanner, why don't you take us out of here?
That was Ride the Line, the most entertaining show in sports betting entertainment. Make sure you ride. Make sure you follow the page. Smash that subscribe button. Hammer it. And we'll see you next week for another episode of Ride the Line.